Welcome to Scoop One Order. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It is a great Monday. A lot of recruiting news went on this weekend. We're going to gather the intel that we got today. Team is so off for another week and a half or so, which is crazy. But we're going to get into that, what that means. Talk a little bit about what the team is doing right now to check on these guys. Get a little bit of intel on that. Again, 3 weeks is a long time, and in the history of Ohio State football, I don't think we ever had a 3 week break in the history of this time of year. Like they might do one right after the bowl game, but in terms of right now, never heard of it. So this is a whole new frontier, and I think the length of the season and the difficulty of the season is a big reason why. So we're going to go into that. We're going to break down another offensive lineman who is on the Justin Fry hit list. This is going to be a big class. I think that there's a lot of momentum right now. And the depth chart needs some upgrading for next year. So we're going to get into all that. As always, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Those are huge for us. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every day. Again, we appreciate this is the off season. So a little slow, but camps are starting to crank up. So there's a lot of good content that's going to be coming your way. Really excited about that. We've got a lot of recruiting coverage on BuckeyeScoop.com right now. So join up on the website if you can't get enough of our recruiting content, along with our inside information stuff. We appreciate you guys that are on BuckeyeScoop.com, but we need more of you. And again, it's a great community. I know a lot of you guys love these chats every day. BuckeyeScoop.com is a chat that's open 24 hours a day, so it's fantastic, and I think you guys are going to absolutely have a blast if you take the plunge and join BuckeyeScoop.com. That being said, as always, make sure you shout out where you guys are watching from. I love seeing the different locations you're watching the show from. This is a global show. People are watching from all over the world, and that's very, very incredible. And also, shout out who you guys are watching with. Again, I love this is a family-friendly show, so when people say they're watching with their sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, spouses, any combination is always fantastic. I really appreciate you guys bringing your families into the fold and spreading the good word of Buckeye Scoop. That being said, time to bring in my good friend Nevada. Nevada, we missed you yesterday. Everybody missed you. David Sanders was in town. Obviously, that was kind of the buzz of Ohio State, the Ohio State sphere right now. The best player in the country, number one offensive tackle in the country, a kid who physically is imposing, could start as a freshman, even though I think that is something that you try to avoid. I know people are going to say that, how could you not start a five-star number one tackle as a freshman? Well, Paris Johnson didn't start as a freshman. And if you're starting a true freshman at tackle, he's either Orlando Pace or you've been terrible at recruiting the last 3-4 years, because you don't want to really throw a guy out there who's that young. But again, some guys can do it, and usually it's on a team that doesn't have a great line or a great line recruiting. But David Sanders is a compelling kid. What were your thoughts on his visit? Again, the dumbest thing of all time are these interviews after these visits when these kids say, I really connected with the coaching staff. It made me feel like I was at home. My mom and dad loved the academic presentation. It was really cool vibing with the players. We went out to eat at Town Hall. I got the chicken sandwich, and I also got mozzarella sticks, and they're delicious. There were pretty girls all over the place. And, it's just like, it's literally like a boilerplate interview, and you could insert anyone's name. So why anybody would read that stuff, it's like mind-numbing. But it is kind of funny that people fall for it every time. But your thoughts on David Sanders enjoying his Ohio State interview or his Ohio State visit?
Well, as long as he got a welcome cake, because Nevadabuck wants a welcome cake when I'm taking my field visits.
Oh,
So
God.
German chocolate preferably, but I'd go for like a yellow cake with like a chocolate frosting or something like that. But German chocolate cake, that's what Nevadabuck wants. And as long as that's still on the table, then I'm okay with all of these post interviews talking about how good things are. Now, all kidding aside, the visit went great. The visit went as planned. I always say with certain, coaches, with certain staff, that there's always like that one player that's kind of the, it's the impetus. It's when the dam breaks. And I'll use an example was like with Tim Walton. Tim Walton was on the outs. Tim Walton might have been going to the NFL, and Ryan Day might have been not upset about Tim Walton going to the NFL. And then Tim Walton landed Davison, and he lands Davison, and then just all heck breaks loose, and Tim Walton turns into a recruiting monster machine and just starts piling kids up like cordwood, and they're like Brian Hartline is in the wide receiver room. And I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to start predicting that for Justin Fry just yet, but they have a really good feeling about where they stand. They have a really good feeling about not only this isn't like just a one player type of deal. They feel good about all the guys that they're in on for the upcoming year, and this could be the one that kind of breaks them through, that puts that starts the avalanche of recruits. And I just have a feeling. I just have a sneaking feeling that this is going to be the one. This is going to be the breakthrough one for Justin. Justin Fry is a charismatic guy, a smooth guy, a handsome guy, a good talker, knows the game, very well credentialed. He's just yet to kind of, have the recruiting success that frankly I thought he would have at Ohio State. That I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you thought that he would have at Ohio State, but he just hasn't had. I mean, by any metric, he hasn't been there. But I just have a feeling this is the one that puts him through, gets him over, and gets him over the top on the Ohio State offensive line. They feel really, really good about where things stand. And that's usually a pretty good, not a perfect indicator, but a pretty good indicator with Ohio State. They've got everything in line. Everything's happening the way that it should. I think they're going to get this one, and I think this is going to be a big one, and I think this is going to launch Fry up. And I've been kind of reserved based upon, but I think this is the breakthrough recruit that puts him over the top, and I really think that's going to happen.
Did you just call Justin Fry handsome?
Very handsome, very handsome.
It's like,
he's dreamy. He's dreamy. It's like he is so dreamy. He can like stand there and point to the hole that they're going to run through. And like, my daddy says I'm going to run right through that hole, and then they run right through the hole and stuff like that. And his dreaminess gets them through the hole. It's amazing.
I mean, coaches. I'm telling you, coaches say some of the dumbest stuff at their introductory press conferences. And again, I get it because you got to get the fan base riled up, and you got to kind of announce your presence. Because like when you're the line coach, like they're not for the microphone, but 4 times a year probably. And they introduce them, and how are you going to be different from the last guy? It's like when they introduce like a new defensive coordinator. He's like, well, we're going to be very aggressive on defense. We're going to be more aggressive on defense. Like that's always like the big like cachet. It's like, oh, we're going to be ultra aggressive. We're going to I'm like, what are you guys going to do? You guys going to bring out AK-47s and shoot the people like in the last Boy Scout or something? It's like, well, how are you going to be more aggressive? I just want you to stop the guys. Just be more sound on defense. You don't have to be more aggressive.
I want to hear one of those guys say, we're going to play bend but don't break. We're going to play a prevent defense.
Yes, exactly. That's what I want to say. We're not going to be aggressive at all. We're going to be pablum and vanilla. We're going to try to keep them out of the end zone. Because, the fans always want blitz. They want to go for broke. It's like they always want to gamble as long as it's like John Cooper says, like they always want to gamble as long as it's with your chips. So I'm just like, we're going to go cover 0 every play and just pray to God they can't make a completion and score on us. But no, I mean, I think this, I kind of have this, it's kind of one of those weird deals because, right now it's Ohio State, it's Georgia, it's Clemson, it's Bama. And then for South Carolina, obviously being, somewhat close to Charlotte. But I just, Bama is down. Clemson is down. Georgia is still outstanding. South Carolina is whatever. I mean, they've never been relevant. They never will be relevant. But they have some money. I mean, they beat us on some NIL guys the past couple years. But I don't know. Like this kid, I'm sure he's an NIL guy. I just, it's weird to me that like people think that like distance is a factor, and maybe it is. But with a kid like this and the amount of money this kid's gonna get in NIL, distance shouldn't be any factor. This guy could fly his mom and dad to Dubai every week with as much money as he's going to be getting in NIL, first class on Emirates airline, where they give you like your own half the plane to like, soak in the jacuzzi tub and whatever. So, I mean, I think that this is a kid that would be, obviously this is the feather in the cap for Justin. You get him and Carter Lowe as your 2 tackles. That's as good as it's going to get. But I think that this is a kid that, he, when you're making a secret visit to Columbus, like he just did, you're really and again, I always feel like when you're on the top secret double O agent visits, like it's because you really want to get into the negotiations with the collectives. You really want to see, okay, what's the real number here? Like, what are we really talking? Like, because like once you go to school once or twice, I don't know how many times you have to go there, especially when there's nothing going on. Like there wasn't a spring game. There wasn't even practice. There aren't even any players on campus right now. So it's not like, hey, I want to go vibe with the players, or hey, I want to. No, this is like, let's get down to business. Let's talk shop. How are you going to make me a better player? How are you going to make me a first round pick? How are you going to make me Paris Johnson 2.0, where in 3 years I'm worth, $30 million like Paris is? And I think that's the appealing thing. And again, if you look at the recent success, Alabama obviously has been outstanding at developing offensive linemen, but those coaches are all gone. Nick Saban's gone. Wolford's gone. Obviously, they just had J.C. Latham go in the top 10. But all those guys that developed those guys are gone. Now, Washington last year, Kalen DeBoer did develop a first-round left tackle who got picked by the Steelers, but that line coach is with the Seahawks now. So Bama, I mean, again, this is a very calculated decision when you're David Sanders Jr., because you have to go where as much of the infrastructure is in place to make sure that you develop at the rate that you're supposed to. And again, that's why all these receivers are flocking to Brian Hartline. And again, I know there's a lot of buzz that spoke about Jamie French eliminating, or not eliminating, but Ohio State's out in the top 3. I think that's all just NIL auctioneering by Jamie, because Ohio State's absolutely still in the play for Jamie French. But again, this is silly season right now when it comes to these guys playing games with these writers. So it's always fun to see that kind of stuff. I think Clemson is in a tailspin right now, just after what's gone on since since Trevor Lawrence left. They've been nowhere near the same program. They haven't developed the quarterbacks. Will Shipley's gone, total rebuild. And their offensive line development is almost non-existent. Jackson Carman went second round, which is fine, but he's probably going to get cut by the Bengals this year. Blake Miller's been fine. He's a kid from Ohio. Dad actually went to Ohio State, but his dad did not like Ohio State. His dad was a Miami Hurricanes fan when he was attending Ohio State. So, so surprised when you've got a dad who's an anti-Ohio State guy who went to Ohio State, sending his kid to Clemson. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do there. Georgia has done great. I mean, with Amarius Mims, he is another first-round pick by the Bengals. Broderick Jones is a first-round pick. So they're going to be, I think, the biggest competition for Ohio State. Because, again, I want to know, if I'm David Sanders Jr. and if I'm his folks, and hey, how are you going to raise my son to be not just, a great player, a great person? What's the offense look like? Is it pro style? Like, just kind of the whole algorithm that goes on when you're doing these recruiting conversations. And again, for David, the perfect comparison for him is Paris Johnson. And Paris is a guy that obviously did everything as perfectly as you ever could at Ohio State. 3 and out, graduated, first round pick. And that's, if I'm Justin, I'm like, look, I just did that with Paris and DeWand. And then wait till you see the leap Josh Simmons makes this year. I can do that with your kid. Because, I mean, David, he has a much higher ceiling than Josh Simmons, but he's the same kind of an athlete. Josh Simmons is a freaky athlete, you guys. I mean, I know that it's weird because he came from San Diego State, wasn't, some highly touted recruit, but he is as athletic of a tackle as we've had. He's on the athletic chart of Paris, not quite as long and tall as Paris, but he's a similar type athlete. And Paris was a freaky athlete. But like I said, this is all a lot of diligence. And when you're coming up for another random visit, that means that these guys are in the game and it's a major deal. So I think it's just part of the filling out process. But like I said, people, it's always kind of study what these people do, not what they say. And when people show up twice before they take an official in like another month, then I think Ohio State has a really serious chance here. And again, this is, you got to have all hands on deck on this one. Because again, just if we don't get David Sanders Jr., people will take their belts off and they'll try to belt, Justin Fry to death. And I'm like, this one's just as much on Ryan Day as it is on Justin Fry and Mark Pantoni and all these other guys. Like, I mean, they got to get involved here, especially Ryan Day, because when you're the number one player in the entire country, then the head coach needs to take that one over, because Nick Saban would be knee deep in that. Kirby Smart will be, Dabo will be, because you have to just amplify your star power on your coaching staff. And so, you can't just beat Justin Fry to death if you lose this kid. Like, this is like one where you need the whole crew to show and tell this kid how important he is and how much you'll get Larry Johnson in there, get Carlos Loughlin in there, get Chip Kelly in there, get everybody in there because he's that important. And again, I think that they've got a great shot at him. Nevada, any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, just give me your quick 2-word answer on who would have been the lead recruiter on Sanders during Urban Meyer's time at Ohio State.
Oh my God! Well, I mean, it has to be Urban Meyer. Has to be. Like, I mean, and again, like, I mean, like, it's like with Paris, like, with Paris, like, Greg Studwara and Monica, I mean, again, Monica Johnson and Paris Johnson, or excuse me, Monica Daniels. Now she's married to Mike Daniels, who I played in an All-Star game with in high school. I love Mike Daniels. They had Stud at the NFL draft because of what Stud did for him, sitting right there with Ryan Day and Justin Fry. But Urban Meyer, again, when it's a superstar, and again, a superstar doesn't have to be a receiver or a quarterback. It could be a left tackle, a Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa. Like, as much legwork as the position coach, if it's Vrabel, if it's Larry Johnson, if it's Fickle, whoever, like, Urban is all over those because he gets excited for the 5-star number one. Let's go beat Alabama. Let's go beat Georgia. Let's go beat, like when Von Bell committed, like, he called Urban Meyer, first. He did, and again, I know Everett was all over that. Everett Withers, who did a great job on that. But it's just like, the head coach is the rock star. The head coach is Mick Jagger. He is the lead singer. He is the guy that everybody recognizes. He's the guy that gets the limelight. And he's the guy, frankly, that the player wants to have a big-time relationship with. Because, again, if I'm looking at the situations right now, like, I don't think Dabo's going anywhere. I definitely don't think Kirby Smart's going anywhere. I don't think Ryan Day is going anywhere. These guys all have long-term deals. These guys are all well-compensated. And so, if I'm the dad of David Sanders Jr., I'm saying, look, okay, let's evaluate the whole program. Let's evaluate, the potential that guys can leave. Because, again, I always tell these guys, commit to the school that you like, because head coaches leave, line coaches can get fired, other guys can get jobs. Justin Fry could be the head, or it could be the coordinator at Oklahoma next year, or whatever craziness you could imagine. So, you better have a good relationship with the head coach, because I mean, that's the guy that, and if he's the guy that you think is a guy that you want to grow up with, because Ryan Day's young, he's an offensive wizard. He's got his mentor running the offense and Chip Kelly. So, I mean, if I'm, and Chip's been around great offensive linemen. Lane Johnson's a Hall of Fame right tackle. In San Francisco, he had Joe Staley, who was outstanding. He's been around great offensive linemen. Even at UCLA had good players. Oregon, he had guys that he put in the league. So, like I said, you have to get the head coach involved. Like, if Nick Saban's still at Bama, he's the lead recruiter. He's not doing all the day-to-day stuff. He's not texting them and asking them, hey, how were your Frosted Flakes this morning? It's, the stuff that like the grunts do. But, Urban, he's all over this one, man. And I think Ryan Day's going to be all over it. And again, I think that's something that always escapes all of the people that have never been inside of a program, don't understand the inner workings of a program. A lot of the people that write and cover cover recruiting or cover Ohio State, they just listen to what the people inside the Woody Hayes tell them how things work. And then there's the reality of how things really work. And, again, when there's blame to be assigned, there's always like every year there's whipping boys that are assigned by people inside the Woody Hayes that want to see people, get dominated, like they're Roman centurions on the battlefield and they screwed up. You guys can look that one up. I watched a video on that the other day. It's pretty gruesome, but I'm just telling you, like, this is one where Ryan Day's gonna be right in the middle of it, and it can't just be Justin Fry sucks, and and again, if Justin Fry sucks, then help him, because everyone always told me Greg Studwara was the fattest, laziest, most worthless human being in the world. Yet we pulled more 5-star recruits during his tenure than it probably every other tenure over the last 25 years. And look it up. And if you think I'm lying, go get on 247 or Rivals or wherever and go look at the average star ratings of his classes versus everybody else. So I don't know if Stud was just sitting there eating Doritos and he was asleep and, he's playing Atari and Urban Meyer was just mopping these 5 stars up. But whatever changed. And honestly, I think a lot of it is guys just don't work as hard in the recruiting sector as they used to because they don't have to. And because then when we miss them, it's not their fault anymore. So I think that that's the thing that's really changed in the Woody recently with offensive line recruiting. I just think that some of those guys, they don't help out as much as they need to or as much as they used to because they're not held as accountable anymore. But Nevada, your thoughts on that?
I think that's 100% spot on, and it's something that nobody ever talks about. But the bottom line is, the recruiting group doesn't work as hard as they used to. You know it, I know it, we all know it. They know it. They talk about it. But hey, our recruiting's been good. It hasn't. Ohio State recruiting is at an extremely high level right now, so it hasn't seemed to have totally affected us. But on a key recruit like this, I mean, this could be one that's kind of a make or break. But one of the hidden gems that we have in this, kind of our secret weapon, is the aforementioned Monica Johnson Daniels, because Monica and Miss Sanders are close, and they're in constant contact. And don't think that is a small thing. That is not a small thing, especially if her mama's going to send her boy away. And you've got somebody who's had a perfect proof source for what happens when you send your kid to Ohio State. Like you said, Paris is going to make $200 million in the NFL, or 300, whatever it's going to be. He's going to create generational wealth, for himself and for his entire family. He made the right choice. And the fact that Monica and Miss Sanders are as close as they are and as much contact as they are, that is a really good sign. Was really a big part of this second kind of secret, unofficial visit kind of coming together. And it's one of the reasons why I like Ohio State to win this Derby. I know that the competition is going to be fierce, but I think Ohio State's on the pole, and I think they're going to get this one done.
And honestly, I'll hit up Monica again, and I'll try to interview her again. 'Cause I interviewed her a few years ago, and I say this. I've been around a lot of parents. I've been around a lot of moms, a lot of dads. She is the smartest football parent I've ever been around, and I'm not saying that because I want to be invited to Paris Johnson's birthday party or because I want to go to the Cardinals game. I'm just saying it because she does not play. She is a lady that she came up working as an academic counselor for the Miami Redskins back when they were the Redskins before they became the Redhawks. Paris Johnson Sr., who's Paris's father, obviously played college football. She was around all of that. She's seen the life. She's seen how kids get manipulated, how coaches lie. She's seen the inner workings of programs. So you weren't getting anything past Monica. And Monica, obviously, Paris was the top player in the country, arguably, for the year that he came out, developed and turned into the top lineman in the country. If we had a decent sports information director or department, he might have actually won one of the major awards like the Outland or the Lombardi, or even the Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year award, which went to Peter Skokorski, who played for the vaunted 1-11 Northwestern Wildcats, as opposed to, I don't know, Paris's team that was, a team that made the playoffs and almost beat Georgia, and was one of the most dominant offenses in the history of college football with C.J. Stroud at quarterback, CJ's last year. But, I think that she is, if I'm a parent of a blue chip recruit, a 5-star recruit who can go anywhere, honestly, and again, I'm not saying this to put ideas out there. If I was Monica, I would start up some sort of a consortium or consulting deal or something. And again, in the modern times where these kids can literally have agents as 18-year-olds, like, I would put Monica on the payroll and say, look, Monica, advise these parents because you've done it. You did exactly what all of these parents want to do. They want their kid to graduate. They want their kid to get their master's paid for. Because you got to understand, not only did Paris graduate in 3 years, he got in writing from the athletic department that Ohio State, if he got into the master's program that he wanted, will pay for his master's degree. So Monica, who is, as sharp as a tack, got that done. And then, the kid goes to the six overall pick to Arizona. Great head on his shoulders. Again, he was not going to be a kid that was going to just be a statistic. Because, again, a lot of these kids show up And when they don't make it, they become statistics. Again, we had a super chat about Marcus Williamson the other day. It's very, very sad. And again, Paris obviously was a much more talented player, but he had the guidance of his mom, which really helped him. And again, that's why the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life is when people say Greg Studoir did not have Monica Johnson's phone number. And I'm like, do you think for a single second, Monica Johnson, who literally is a lady, or again, I call her Monica Johnson because she's Monica Johnson when she was getting recruited. She's now Monica Daniels. Like, would let a school recruit her son without her having the type of relationship that she had with the position coach and Urban Meyer and then Ryan Day. I mean, she probably had Gene Smith calling too. I mean, she's like that kind of a person. And again, she told me in depth when I interviewed her about the presentation that she wanted from each school. And, she visited Michigan and UCLA and Ohio State. And this presentation, it wasn't like, golly gee whiz, what's your graduation rate? Golly gee whiz, how many linemen have you put in the NFL? It's like, no, show me the body types of the players that you've coached and how that'll translate into how you coach my son. Show me how that'll develop him into an all Big Ten player, an NFL player. I mean, it was like a very specific deal. I mean, this thing would have took 100 hours to put together for some GA. And then the best part ever is like Ed Warner in his eternal genius was at Michigan at the time. And Monica shows up with Paris and Ed blew off doing the presentation that Monica requested. Like she sent like the whole dossier of this is what I'd like for you to show me. And Michigan didn't do it. Ed didn't do it. And Ed said something to Monica disrespectfully and literally got up in the middle of the presentation and said, Paris, we're leaving. In Ann Arbor, like during the presentation, they storm out and they never went back to Michigan. And like Jim Harbaugh chased her down the hallway and was like, what went wrong? What happened? And well, he was disrespectful. And Ed said something stupid, of course, like per usual. And it was just the most hilarious thing ever that Ed Warner tried Monica Johnson. So again, she wasn't scared to just walk out of a place like the University of Michigan, which was, obviously has put a lot of guys in the league at the offensive tackle position. So again, I love that. And again, with a kid like David Sanders and Monica, being, kind of like a guider along with Paris, that bodes very well for Ohio State because again, I just think that they have the blueprint and they could share the blueprint. And I don't think there's anything in the universe that could help Justin Fry and Ryan Day more than Paris Johnson and Monica Daniels, Paris's mom, obviously helping that thing along. Nevada, do you have anything else to add? And we can get into another offensive lineman that we're going to watch.
Well, no, I just know that Paris dreamed of being better than Peter Skoronski someday, but it was not to be, man. Our department would not cannot get behind him to promote him for that Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year award. So went to old Peter.
I mean, yeah. Good. I mean, come on. I mean, they literally were 1-11, and they picked him as the offensive lineman of the year over Paris Johnson. He doesn't even play tackle in the NFL. He plays guard. But again, I just like being impossibly bad at your job knows no bounds. And again, you guys can say, "Oh, you're just being a hater. Oh, you're just mad." I'm like, dude, show me the awards that CJ Stroud won when he was at Ohio State. Show me all the trophies that guy won. Is CJ Stroud any good? Am I wrong? Oh, wow. Oh, so he didn't win any awards. He didn't win the Davey O'Brien. He didn't win any of those big quarterback awards when he was at Ohio State. No way. But then he goes to the league and the Houston Texans promote him. And obviously CJ does fantastic. Rookie of the year. He's the preseason favorite to win the MVP in the National Football League over Pat Mahomes right now, per a bunch of the sports books. So, but show me all the major trophies he won. Show me all the major trophies that Paris won. All those great receivers. Marvin finally won a major trophy, but it's just, it's bad. Javon McFadden is a kid, Nevada. We're going to watch a little bit of his tape. I think Ohio State's got another great shot at this kid. This kid's a guard. He is a thumper. He's 6'3". Anytime a kid's 6'3.5" on a chart, I always assume that he's 6'3", not 6'4". Probably 290 now. I'm going to turn his tape on right now. But what do you think? How big of a haul does this need to be on the O-line this year for Justin Fry and Ohio State? Because this is as wide of a net as I've seen cast, and I think that it's a good thing for the squad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's going to be 4+ for sure. I mean, maybe 5, maybe 6. I mean, they're really throwing the net out there, as you said. McFadden's another kid that they think that they've got a really good chance to get, and it just feels like all this effort is that the dam is about to break, and he's a guy. This is an interior guy, but a guy that really Ohio State's had their eyes on him for a while. I wouldn't say he's low rank guy. I think one of the services has him as 3. Everybody else has him as a 4. I know Ohio State views him as a mid to high level 4-star guy, and they've got a great relationship with Fry. Fry's been doing some really nice work on this, and this could certainly be a kid that we see in the fold pretty shortly.
Yeah, and I believe he's tackle here, 71, probably killing this guy right here on the edge. He's got the turf tape on. Yeah, this is him. So here he is, just massacring this guy up here, which is again like you love to see guys finish downfield. Again, usually this isn't great ball when you talk about like what's the level of competition, but when you see guys finishing downfield like this, that's always encouraging. Just because some guys can give up, some guys can take it easy. This guy's a guard for sure. But he's got tackle feet. I mean, he moves really well. It finishes. Again, I love watching the tape of these guys. In general, guards in general are kind of hard to project because at 99% of the schools, if a kid's getting recruited by Ohio State, he's probably playing tackle in high school, and you got to kick him into guard, which is not a huge transition, but it is a bit of a transition, and you just got to make sure that the kid's good with it because some kids are like, oh, I'm only a tackle or whatever, but with his height, like this guy's, he could be an NFL guard with his size and strength, and again, I think that he's a guy that weight room will be huge. He can move. I mean, the guy can motor. Again, look at this. I mean, this is again, he's blocking. He's got Mark Pantoni out here at linebacker. He's coming backside, latches onto the dude right here. But I mean, he takes this guy for a ride now. And again, I think that that's encouraging because you look at just the fact that he doesn't have to finish these guys to the ground, but all these clips so far show him taking guys down to the ground. So that's great. Hands are fine here. Again, obviously questionable competition, but you can't, when you're a kid and you're playing at a school district, you don't get to reschedule and load your schedule at basically saying, oh, I need to play SEC level guys and Big Ten level guys. So again, another pancake, mauling the kid. It's encouraging that he finishes. I think his feet are light. Be interesting to see if this is the kind of kid that can camp. I think that kind of a new phenomenon that goes on with linemen is that, and I guess even seniors now, is that a lot of the guys that are seniors don't camp if they already have the offer. So would this kid come to camp and work out? Or is this a kid that's going to do just a personal workout? Like a lot of these guys that are seniors, like going into their senior year, they don't do the full 1-day camps like that. They used to always do those, but now I think a lot of these kids, they kind of take it off when they already have the offer, or they might come up and do an individual workout. Like when Luke Montgomery and Josh Padilla and all those guys, when they were going into their senior years, they did an individual workout that was separate from everything else, where they were just worked out with Justin Fry and at the time Kevin Wilson, and they didn't go against the regular D linemen. They didn't do the regular camp because they were already committed to Ohio State. So I don't know like what the purpose of that is, but I don't know if it's because they don't want the kids to get shown up at camp or get blown up or whatever. But a lot of these guys, they don't camp in the conventional ways anymore. This would be a really interesting kid to see at camp, see him play against good players in the one-on-one pass pro drill. And because I think he'd actually stack up pretty well because again, in this offense, these guys they're chucking it. Again, he's got really nice feet, and when he latches on to guys, it kills them. So again, now he might be, I don't know if he's getting a hold here, or is it an interior guy getting the hold? I mean, because this flag comes in here, it might be the receiver. I think he actually might get a hold here. So you can see, and this is something that I'd always teach these guys, like, look, this official right here is looking right at this block. So when you get your hand outside like this, like see how his hand is up here on the high part, kind of up on the sleeve, kind of grabbing that shoulder pad. When you torque the guy like that, see how he's torquing him? and you can like see the guy turning, and again, this guy's trying to get off the block and he can't because he's got his outside arm. Um, so the ref's looking right at that. You can see where his vision is. So he chucks that flag right there, because when the guy is trying to he's trying to spin out of it. If you hold on to him, if you hold on to his shoulder pad, and that official sees that jersey stretch, guaranteed going to be called for holding. I used to tell guys, I'm like, look, just let the guy go at that point. I mean, again, that sounds counterintuitive to everything I'm sure you've ever heard about blocking and offensive line play, but if you're out in that open field and you've got this guy looking at you and you've got this guy looking at you and the ball's coming over here, like there's a good chance either of them can see you rip that cloth. And as soon as you rip that cloth and that guy's twerking and he tries to run and he's like held backwards by you holding him, like the play is going to come back. It's better just to let it go because there's a chance the running back could get the guy anyways. But yeah, he got called for holding there for sure. But that was just something I always tell the guys. I'm like, look, I know you guys want to tackle these guys and take them to the ground and stuff, but if you're lazy with your hands and a guy tries to spin out of a block and you don't let him go, then the whole play is going to come back anyways, and you're going to look like a douchebag, and they're going to call your name in the stadium, and everyone's going to boo you and hate you. So you're going to be subjected to mean tweets, Nevada. Very mean tweets. But what are your thoughts, Nevada? Again, I like this kid's tape.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I like I said, I when I first saw the first service I looked at had him as a 3-star, and I'm like, man, that doesn't look like a 3-star to me. I agree. I definitely think, even though he's playing tackle, he projects to the inside. And like I said, I know Ohio State likes him a lot. The relationship's good, relationship's strong, and you know, I think these are the kind of kids I like. Kids that finish. I've always liked that. You know, not everything has to be the blind side where you take the kid and put him in the alley and throw him into the dumpster or whatever it is. But I do like kids that, you know, chase the kids down the field, that show that little bit of extra effort. Sometimes you don't see that out of the big guys, but no, I like them a lot and think Ohio State's in a really good position.
Yeah, I totally agree. We can get into some of these deals. I will tell you guys, I love you guys when you guys use the troll emoji because that is like the greatest thing ever. Because I always wonder who gets whacked because you guys get these guys get smoked by Kim. Kim and Devin have quick trigger fingers and they whack these guys they get sassy in the chats, which it's stupid. But you know, there's some people that are losers and they like to get
No,
loose.
no, no, wait, no, no, wait a second. No, if you're gonna be a troll, at least troll with a super chat. Give us a super chat and then give us your trolling.
That was the greatest thing ever. That guy that gave us $5 the other day to troll me. And he said a bunch of like just a bunch of dumb false. I'm like, dude, you just gave me $5. I'm like, I'm good with that. If you could only do that just do that 100 times a day, and I'll be great. You know, so
yeah. So
like,
don't do it in the chat.
Me.
Don't. You got to super chat it. Come on, troll. Step up your troll game, man. Come on.
You have to because honestly, there's nothing that hurts my feeling more than when people hate me so much that they pay me to tell me that they hate me. So thank you. You know, they put it in the super chat, which again. We signed up Devin's friend who's a disabled veteran. He's in Tallahassee. Devin, I'm not sure if you talked to him. I got to give him a call to teach him how to use the website. But I was like, the paying forward thing is the greatest thing ever because like these people that we're signing up they're some of the greatest people ever. A lot of them have never been on message boards before, so they're completely unfamiliar with it. And I think that it's fascinating when you get to meet people, thank them for their service, and you get to show them how to use a message board. You know, hey, I'm around. Anything you need to call for, I can help you log in, set your password, whatever. So like that's kind of what I do during the day is make sure that a lot of these new people are familiar with how to use everything, and they love it, and they're great ads. Like a lot of you guys have that are in the chats joined the message board, and it's great seeing all your names on there because you guys like again, Devin was on there. He was posting stuff about Chip Kelly's misdirection offense, and I was like, that's great topic, you know. So you guys that aren't on the board, man, it's a hoot. Like for $12.99, like that's like 2 cheesy gordita crunches in the current America. So I can't imagine something more entertaining than that than our site is. Yakov 22, thanks for the deuce. Why doesn't Ohio / the Midwest produce 5-star defensive tackles? Nevada, I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking today. I'll let you take a crack at that one before I go on that one.
Well, I just think it's demographics. I think a lot of it has to do with just, you know, body types, and you're talking about body types of, you know, boys. some of the big boys down in the South, and there's a reason why they're all down there in the South. Those big-bodied Polynesians that are out on the West Coast, and again, none of this isn't a racial thing. I don't want to turn this into this racist rant or something, but there are certain body types that lend themselves to defensive tackle play that tend to aggregate either on the West Coast or down in the Deep South, and that's just what it is. That doesn't mean you can't find great defensive tackles elsewhere, but if you're just looking at numbers, I always say math is undefeated. Where are the big boys? Well, they're down south, or the Polynesian kids on the West Coast. I mean, the West Coast schools, defensive linemen are almost exclusively Polynesian, and that's just because that's who you can get out there. And I think that's about as straightforward as the answer as I can give you.
So there's more big fat people in the South, is what you're saying?
Well, it's not the healthiest lifestyle in the world, but that's where they tend to aggregate the biggins, the big boys.
Oh
the big
my
boys.
God. Top obesity rates in America. See, I always thought it had something to do with the obesity rates. You look at like the BMI indexes, man, and it's like, all right, let's check out this BMI. Now, again, I am, my BMI is probably in this hot red area, so I'm not out there talking trash right now, but like
you're in the ring of fire. I think you're singularly why Ohio's in there. You're kind of like lifting it up there, man. I'm telling you.
So what do I always say? I said, where are the best defensive tackles in the world from? Louisiana. Who's in the hot red? Louisiana. So there's a lot of big fat people making love to each other, and they're creating big old defensive tackles that are really good at stopping the run and pass rushing. So again, you look at the South, and I'm talking like, if you said, Kirk, you could pick 3 states to get your defensive tackles from. I'm picking Louisiana, Georgia, and then it's a coin flip between Texas and Florida. So, but I'm definitely taking Louisiana and Georgia for sure, because that's where the mutants live, that's where the monsters live, and they're superhuman. I played against them, Glenn Dorsey and all those guys. I mean, you look at LSU's D-line, front 7 when we played those guys, they're all from Louisiana. They didn't have anybody from, they might have had one guy from Florida, but their front, Tyson Jackson was the 3rd pick in the draft. The guy blocked the whole game. Glenn Dorsey was the 5th pick in the draft. He won every trophy known to man his senior year. So, again, I always look at the obesity race. I look at the South. I look at, it just kind of is what it is. And again, I'm not, and again, I think that it's also the population that has left the North, has left Ohio, and they've moved to Charlotte and Atlanta and Florida. And, I'm not saying that people are moving in mass to Louisiana, but, there's been, it's called the Rust Belt for a reason, so, I mean, you don't have as many of the big, nasty defensive tackles that we've had in the past. I mean, you look at our D linemen in general. I mean, we obviously we've got Jack Sawyer, but, we're getting guys from all over the place to come here and play. Mike Hall, obviously a Cleveland kid, but, JT was from Washington. You look at Chase was from that Maryland DC-ish area. The Bosas were from Florida. But from D tackles, we had Adolphus. Adolphus was a good Ohio D tackle, but a lot of these guys, man, they're from the South, and again, they're really hard to pull out of the South because again, they're big boys, they're mama's boys, and there's that thing where it's like, if you're in Louisiana, every single person in the state of Louisiana is an LSU Tiger fan, and they dream of being LSU Tigers, and their granddaddy grew up watching LSU Tiger football, and their dad grew up watching LSU Tiger football, so they want to play for LSU. So, when those kids want to go to the boot, man, they want to go to LSU, man, they're going to LSU. And again, and that's why, Brian Kelly gave up touchdown Jesus and, great academic standards to move to the boot because he could go get these super mutant defensive tackles that he couldn't get in 100 million years to come to Notre Dame. Again, I talk to guys from South Florida all the time, and they said, we'll never get one of our kids to go to Notre Dame because they'll go there. They don't even bring those kids to camp or visits at Notre Dame because, they get there and it's, it's priests and it's, dresses up to here and you're in the dorm for 4 years. And, I couldn't imagine taking some of the kids from South Florida Express to South Bend and giving them a campus was, hey, do you guys want to go see the grotto? They light the candles? No. Do you guys want to go to mass? No. Do you guys want to be in the dorms for 4 years? No. So again, I think that when you could go to the South, and again, that's why I say it all the time, because people like to just bludgeon our O-line coaches. Why don't we get these big tackles? Why don't we get these 5-star tackles? I'm like, well, where are they from? Georgia. Okay, and are the Georgia Bulldogs good? Yeah, they're the best team in the country. Okay, and who did we lose him to? Georgia. Okay, and he's from Georgia? Okay, great. So they got 3 5-star tackles and they're all from Georgia. Great. Like, that's what's supposed to happen when you're the coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. Like, if you put Justin Fry in Georgia, or if he coached at Alabama under Nick Saban, like, he's got to pull some of those guys because, again, the proximity and just where the kids are from. So, again, I don't know how we're going to get defensive tackles out of Louisiana unless we move Ohio State to Louisiana. Just facts of life. But thankfully, with our new recruiting strategy, we've gotten much more national. And again, that's why I say to you guys over and over again, NIL is fantastic for Ohio State football. It might be the greatest thing of all time for Ohio State football, because when you can pay these guys some money, all of a sudden, guess what? They can fly mom and dad up to every game. Mom, dad, sister, girlfriend, whatever, little brother, because again, when you write these guys a check, I mean, I know what these kids are making right now. And again, God bless them. Happy for them. Not pocket watching, not jealous, not the old jealous head or anything like that. But, if I was making what these guys were making, and a lot of these guys are bench players making serious money, my mom I'd book all my mom's flights. I book all my sister's flights. If they had to fly up from, South Florida or Charlotte to Columbus, you could book all those flights right now. They're probably $150, $200 round trip each game. So if you got 4 people coming to the game, it's $1,000, maybe $1,500. You got that for 7 home games. That's it's literally nothing. It's a pittance at that point. Go get the Southwest credit card, rack up them miles. You'll be in good shape. When you put your down payment on your Range Rover, put that on the credit card. You'll have enough miles to fly around the country 1,000 times. Yes.
Are you buying those first class tickets on Delta, or are you buying Spirit Airlines and just having them kind of line up there?
Southwest. Because if I hit the portal, then they can cancel the flights. If I portal out in middle training camp because I'm sad, no, I'm not buying Delta first class. Are you crazy?
Spirit. I can see you being Spirit. I can see your mom and dad. Here's your Spirit.
Dude, I am Southwest to the hill, man. I got the credit card. I mean, Southwest flies direct to Fort Myers, Florida. They fly direct to Vegas, and that's the only 2 places I really go. And then if I got to go to Seattle in August. If I got to go to a business meeting in Alabama, I'll probably fly Delta because I can get down there.
Now, do you get on early and get that exit row seat without the seat in front of it and stretch out? Is that with the seat that 11A seat? Is that the one you're always?
Depends on where I'm at on my status. If I have to, I'll get the A1 and I'll because I like to sit in the very front row, so I'm the first guy off the plane. Because I hate waiting around for people that loiter around on the plane. But I've got a strategy. Yeah, usually about 6 crown. Usually about 6 Crown and Diet Cokes, and then I'm ready to rock. So.
No, the strategy on Southwest Airlines is getting a wheelchair, because half the airline is in wheelchairs on the thing.
Oh God!
And then when you hit Vegas, they jump up and they're healed and they run off the plane. But I
know. It's like they got touchdown Jesus. They fly. It's when they go from Columbus to Vegas, they fly over South Bend and they fly over touchdown Jesus, and he magically heals them. And they jump up off that. They'll have the 17 wheelchairs waiting at the gate, and they'll be like, "Who's this wheelchair for?" Everybody ran off the flight to go put their money in the slot machines at the Cosmo. So
I love it when they have one person in the wheelchair and they have a group of 12 people with them. So literally by the time you get on the plane, you can be business select 2, and
A1
half the plane's full.
You're in the back of the flight, middle seat.
Exactly.
Sorry, I gotta bring everybody. I gotta bring everybody I met at the food court on the flight with me. I apologize.
Exactly.
No biggie. Andre Dick, what is up, brother? Thanks for being all sure. Thanks for the 5. Love the show, guys. I love your show too. If you guys want me to come back on, I did Mr. Duke's show. It was really good. And who do you guys think will win the Pac-2? Pac-12, isn't it 2? Isn't it just Washington State and Who's the other one left? Cal? Or who's the other one that's still left in the...
or Oregon State, Washington State, Oregon State.
Okay. So in the Big 12, it's going to be in the AAC this year. Kirk, I got some questions offline for you. I will email you. Perfect. God, Andre, like I don't even follow it. Do you follow the AAC? Is Cincinnati in the, or they're in the Big 12? Who's in the AAC? So obviously you know where this thing is going, Andre. I appreciate you, man. I don't even know who's in that conference. Nevada, do you? Is like Houston in that?
I don't think so. I thought they made the jump to the Big 12.
All right. We've got SMU, Tulane, Texas, San Antonio, Memphis, South Florida, Rice, Navy, North Texas, Florida Atlantic, UAB, Tulsa, Charlotte, Temple, and East Carolina. I mean, I'll just go SMU because that makes sense. Maybe Tulane. I wish my boys at Tulsa would do better, but they were 2-6 in the conference last year, 4-8 overall. So love my boy Wilson. I'd love for him to do well. So I'm just gonna pick SMU, and then the other one, I guess I'll say Washington State because I like their coach, but I really don't know when there's only. I mean, the Big 12. Okay, I'm thinking Pac-12. The Big 12. God, the Big 12. I was brain dead for a second. The Big 12 is like Cincinnati and that crew. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm the wrong guy to ask about that because outside of the Big Ten and the SEC, I really don't follow it. Let me look at that one. Nevada, do you have a pick for the AAC?
I'm gonna go with Temple. Great, being led by the great former Ohio State coach, and I think that he's going to lead them to greatness. He's either going to lead them to greatness this year, or Stan's going to be summarily dismissed and fired at midseason.
He'll be fired like by week 3. I mean, dude, they were terrible last year, weren't they?
They were terrible.
Am I thinking of a different temple? Am I thinking of like the Temple of Doom from Indiana Jones that like collapses on him?
No, he's had like the steady decline, but I think that this is the year they turn it around, man. Come on, I'm Team Stan.
They're gonna be trash. God, I want to pick Cincinnati just for the. I mean, Oklahoma's obviously gone. West Virginia, TCU. I mean, man, this is. Whew. I honestly don't know. I mean, Kansas is one of the best coaches in the country. A guy that I was shocked didn't take a bigger job. Lance Leopold, but yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I'll say Cincinnati, but I have honestly no idea. So I apologize, Andre. I'll do more research on that, but God bless. That's a good gotcha question though. Like, who's going to win 2 conferences that I frankly, I don't even know if I've ever watched any of their games. I mean, I'm sure I've watched the Big 12 game, but since Texas and Oklahoma are gone, it's like I don't even pay attention to those guys anymore. But I appreciate you, brother. I will check my email for your questions. Sean Schrock, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. Hey, Kirk, I heard a story about Reid Fragel. Here we go, Nevada, because I know who got this story. This is a Nevadabuck story, actually. Is it true that on his visit to Ohio State, someone tried to rob his dad and Reid knocked the guy out? He actually chased the guy down and knocked him out. Nevada, you've heard that story. I've heard that story. It's one of the greatest stories of all time. But do you want to tell it?
Yeah, I mean, let's put this. I'll tell what I was told of the story, and I'm pretty close to the Fragels. So Fragel rock forever. And the story that I had heard was that there was kind of this sketchy guy kind of hanging around, and when they were like checking the car in or they were checking their luggage in, like this guy like grabbed Reid's dad's like computer case, like like the thing you carry your computer in, and ran off with it. And Reid ran after him and chased him down and grabbed him and then just beat the heck out of him out there in the bushes, and then came back and brought the computer bag back. But that they wanted to kind of keep the whole incident on the location. We didn't talk about it or anything because they didn't want to paint Reid in this bad light that he'd like beaten this guy up on the recruiting visit. But yeah, that did happen. I think I've got the facts straight. If not, I'm sure I'll be getting a text later on tonight correcting the facts because the Fragels always watching, always they're big fans of this podcast. But what story did you hear, Kirk? Is that different than my story?
No,
or is that pretty accurate?
That's very accurate. I mean, I asked Reid about that because Somebody asked me about that before. It's funny. I'm literally texting Reid right now, and I mean, I remember like he told me. I was like, did that really happen, or is that like some sort of an urban legend? And let me see real quick. I'm gonna. I literally just took a screenshot. I'm gonna text it to him. So what happened was, they're at the Blackwell, and those of you that are familiar with Ohio State, the Blackwell is where the guys stay for their official visits, and it's where the team stays the night before games, and kind of the whole shebang. It's a really nice hotel, and the funny thing was is they're getting out of the car or whatever. And Mark Fragel, who's Reid's dad. Mark Fragel is one of the greatest human beings I've ever met, one of the greatest dads I've ever met. Just a great stand-up dude. Really successful business guy, really sharp guy. A guy who was always great to me, always very supportive, but just a really good dad. And he's getting out of the car or whatever, and he's got like his iPad or his laptop, or it was some sort of a small computer. And I don't know if it's like under his arm or what it was, but this guy like grabs it from them and starts like booking it, like running away from the Blackwell. And like he didn't realize like Reid was a tight end at the time, so he probably weighed. I mean, Reid was the biggest tight end in Ohio State. He was like probably 280 as a tight end, and like Reid could run like an antelope, and Reid runs this guy down, beats the Christ out of him, and then all of a sudden. The guy's laying there bleeding, because again, like, you don't want to steal from, a guy whose son's going to be a Division I, NFL level football player who can run like the wind. Reid beat the tar out of this guy. And then he gets the laptop back, and, Ohio State didn't want to say anything about it because, again, like it doesn't look good when, parents are getting robbed right outside of the hotel, the nice hotel that they stay at for official visits. But that's what happened. And I was like, that is the greatest story I've ever heard in my life. I was like, that would be NIL deals out the wazoo. That would be interviews. That'd be, because again, like the Blackwell is like a great area. It's a beautiful, it's literally, the Blackwell is owned by the business school, the Fisher College of Business, where I got my MBA from. And it's a great, beautiful hotel, great area, whatever. And so it's not like it's in a sketchy part of town. It's right in the middle of campus. And Reid beat the tar out of this guy. And again, I love that story, but Reid confirmed it. And I was just like, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, like literally, like what are the odds that you're some young high school kid and you're getting out of the car and I'm sure they drove down from Michigan, which is a haul, and then all of a sudden like you're standing there and some guy jacks your dad's laptop or whatever, and you got to go hawk him down and beat the tar out of it. Because that was like one of those ones where I'm sure Reid's adrenaline was probably going ballistic, and all of a sudden he was like, I'm just gonna beat the tar out of this guy, and he did. So I mean, Reid's a tough customer now. Like Reid is a really good player. Got drafted after playing tackle for 1 year. Great. He was a great athlete. But he was strong as an ox though. No fat. I mean, that guy had the lowest body fat maybe of any offensive lineman we've ever had at Ohio State, because he was just so big and dense. And, again, he was a really good player for us in 2012. Like I said, he played tackle for 1 year, got drafted in the 7th round. So, he had the tools, but that is the Reid Fragel story, and it was absolutely.
No, hold on. I've got a question for you, a Blackwell question for you, because you're
sure.
an MBA and a representative of the business school, so I kind of feel like you're responsible for this. I'm staying at the Blackwell one time. They tell me I'm with my daughter. We're on a little hockey trip, and they're like, "Hey, checkout's at 11 o'clock," and I'm like, "Well, I want to stay till like 4," and they're like, "Well, you have to pay for like another half day's rate to stay till 4," and I'm like, okay, I'll do that, but I'm not happy about it because the hotel was empty. But I'm like, okay, I'll pay another half day's rate. So we get in the room, we put the do not disturb sign because we want to get a little sleep after hockey. So then we get on the plane when we're flying back to the West Coast. And they kept knocking on our door at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, knocking on our door, telling us to get out of the room, even though I'd paid for a half a day's thing. And I want to know what you can do about that as a graduate of the business school there. What can you do about that? Because I'm not satisfied with my Blackwell experience.
I'm surprised they didn't make you pay for like 7 days, because they say, oh, you're the guy that complains about the tennis sign, your tennis sign not being there. Oh, we're going to charge you for a week, Mr.
So you think that was
Nevadabuck.
Gene Smith? You think that was Gene Smith, like just hassling me there?
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Oh,
he got
man.
wind that you were in town.
Man.
They had the moles there. Oh yeah, dude. Like you're not getting out of there. I mean, I hope you didn't order room service. I'm just telling you.
I did. I didn't trust it, man. We ate at McDonald's every day. I didn't trust it.
See, it's probably good. I mean, you probably would have woke up. You'd have been like when those guys go to Russia and then they never come home. It was like
Oh
they eat the
man.
wrong beef stroganoff at in the room service, and then they never come home.
That's
Oh
what happened to
God.
Trump. But when Trump was there, they have a video of that. But I digress. But we're gonna move on.
Yeah, they do. Reed just texted me back. This is great. He said, "What a wild time." He said, "True story." And this is the funny thing about Reed is the first place where his head went. He said, "I was just glad that Trust didn't pull my scholarship after." That was his
Yeah, he was
thought.
worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, because again, like in this, we live in like society wasn't nearly as idiotic back then, but in this like modern time, if that happened today and Reed did that, the guy that he beat the tar out of would probably sue him for aggravated assault and permanent total disability and everything. Because like, you beat me up after I stole your dad's laptop. Like, I'm entitled to this. And, I don't know. But I'm proud of Reed. I'm glad he did that. That's awesome. One of the greatest stories in Ohio State history. I mean, I'm just telling you, that was, and like I said, like there's such a great family too. So there's nothing that could make you prouder as a dad than if your son defends you. Because again, Mark's older. I'm sure that he could have got after it, but when your kid is like Simba and you're like Mufasa and Simba goes and pounces and kills somebody, like that's awesome.
Mark's a bad dude, man.
He's a big dude. Yeah.
He's a big dude, man.
Oh yeah. I'm sure he could, but it's like, but I'm just telling you, man, when your kid's that young buck, I mean, I don't know if he could, I'm sure Mark couldn't motor like Reed could, not at that point. Good God.
Pull a groin muscle for sure.
Oh my God, I know. Pull your back, pull your groin. That'd be great. You'd be in the training room with the Woody Hayes during the whole official visit. Buckeye BA, thank you for the deuce. Appreciate you. How do the crystal balls work and who are the evaluators? This is an interesting question. Nevada, I don't know how you want to handle this one because the fall of the crystal ball and the fall of recruiting guru has been one of the funniest things I've ever seen over the last 4 years because those guys don't have a clue anymore. In the world of NIL and Edit Monkey, Hayes Fawcett and all these guys that do edits, like I've never seen more guys whiff on crystal balls like right at the finish line than right now. But what are your thoughts, Nevada? How do you believe crystal balls work and who are the evaluators?
Well, basically, it's just guys that are on these sites, and the crystal ball used to be like a way you'd predict where the kid was going, so you put it into the crystal ball, and then you see your record to see, hey, I predicted 99% of the time my crystal ball came correct. But the fatal flaw in the crystal ball is they let you change your crystal ball. So now, in fairness, in recruiting, things change. So I think it's fair that things should change, but in the crystal ball world, you can find out 10 minutes beforehand that you've been wrong for 6 months, and you flip your crystal ball based on what the edit monkey told you, and now all of a sudden you're 100% of your crystal ball. So it's kind of a worthless thing. I think recruiting coverage is dead. I said that when we started this site. I told Kirk, I'm like, Kirk, look, recruiting coverage, it's ridiculous. I know we have to do it. I know people want to hear about it, but the reality is with NIL, everything's so different. We have to pivot and go towards inside information. That's the true differentiator between us and all these other sites. And Kirk's like, you're right, let's do it. And that's what we've done. And we put all our resources into that because stuff like the crystal ball, stuff like the recruiting guru, it's so 1972. And we're trying to be forward thinking, but that's how I understand crystal balls to work. And if you have a different viewpoint on that, Mr. Barton, you can describe it.
No, I mean, it used to be like these reporters would know everything, but the things that have changed is every kid wants to have their announcement. And, now the funny thing is, these kids have their announcements, but the edit monkey tells the crystal ball guys or whatever, hey, I just did the edit. It's Alabama, or hey, it's Georgia, or hey, it's Ohio State, or it's whoever. And then all the crystal balls flip. So again, it's like betting. It's like if you can change who you're betting on like 1 second before the buzzer goes at the end of the game, you're just like, the Celtics are up 7 versus the Cavs. Like I can change my bet at the last second. Oh, this is amazing. This is great. But you see all these guys flipping their crystal balls the day before the announcement. You're like, well, Hayes Fawcett obviously just got done making the edit. And he just told Shannon Terry and all these guys, hey, by the way, it's not going to be Michigan anymore. It's going to be Bama or USC or whoever. So, I think it's just like a way that it used to be like a a big thing, but I think that the way that they flip them now, it's almost completely worthless. The evaluators are just, whoever works for all the networks On3 and Rivals 247. But yeah. BMOT20, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. Just graduated from Ohio State University. Congratulations. That's awesome. I hope you had a great time at your undergrad, and I hope you're good luck joining the workforce. I hope you find a job you like doing and consider getting your MBA, because it was the best thing I ever did. I want to thank you and Nevadabuck for this podcast and helping me through the long nights of studying. Appreciate that. I mean, again, we get some incredible compliments both online and offline, and we appreciate all you guys that tune in, make us a part of your day each and every day. But yeah, well, congratulations. That's awesome. And also to any of the parents of graduates like Miss Doreen, congratulations for your daughter graduating yesterday. And any other parents that we have on here or graduates that are listening to this show, congratulations to you guys. It is a tough road to get through college. And when you finally get that degree, it is wonderful knowing that you never have to take another test again or do any more dumb things again. But now you get to do it for work and for a living. So congratulations. Nevada, any thoughts for our boy B-Mott, who just graduated from Ohio State?
Yeah, well, just like you said, congratulations on sticking it out and going and doing it. And congratulations to Ohio State for having the moral fortitude to go through with their commencement and not listen to any of that stupidity that's going on in a lot of other conferences. I know we're not going to make it political. It's not a political statement, but I'm just glad that Ohio State had a nice commencement and is doing things the right way and not bowing the knee. They shouldn't do it. And Hurricane Carter is not going to ever be bowed. So God bless Ted Carter.
I mean, I hope they build a statue of Ted Carter, man, because he is not putting up with any of that. So he's a beast now. I mean, he's winning a lot of people over because he's not. You didn't see Ohio State's commencement get ruined like Michigan's did, but I just proud of that. Patriot, thanks for the 20. Appreciate you, man. God bless our troops. Totally agree. Our first responders as well. Our police officers. They need all the support we can get right now. I mean, it is tough out there. We appreciate you guys. Kirk, we need a douchebag emoji for the chat. Yes, we do. I don't know how I could formulate that, but I'll figure it out. I'll submit it to Apple this evening. I'm gonna just do a giant douche, and I think that it might be able to slip through the Apple censorship. But I'll submit that. That's your choice, Nevada OH. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's needed. It absolutely is needed because there are a lot of douchebags. And again, like we thin them out. Like, I mean, it's very, very thinned out on this chat because of Kim and Devin moderating it, and we're gonna give Doreen a wrench. So we appreciate you guys doing your hard work. I did a little bit yesterday, and it feels good to get rid of bad people. So that never gets old. But I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for your support for our Pay It Forward program. Matt Patel, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you. As a parent of a kid who wants to play for the good guys someday, in today's college football landscape, is it better to be a walk-on at Ohio State or on scholarship at a mid-tier Big Ten school? Nevada OH. I am very much pro scholarship because I don't think if you can avoid debt and your kid gets a chance to play, I think that that's the way to go. And if you go to a MAC school and he balls out, then there ain't no reason he can't hit the portal and go to Ohio State or go to, if you're a baller, they will find you and they will make your life better. Cause again, I think walking on it's noble. It's great. But I would never turn down a scholarship at the worst MAC school over walking on Ohio State because, if you get a scholarship, that means that they want you. And there's a better chance that you're going to get your foot in the door to play because they're actually offering you money to come there. Where walking on at Ohio State is great, but if my kid got a full ride to Central Michigan, but he didn't get a ride to Ohio State, like I'd send him to Central Michigan because why would you want him to? Why would you have to pay for school when he's got a free scholarship at a place that I'm sure you get a great education, have a good time, whatever. But that's just my opinion. Again, I always think that the walk-ons are very noble. But it's a grind now. I mean, it's a walk-on. You got to do all the same stuff with scholarship, and you're not making any money. And a lot of the guys I played with that were walk-ons had they had side jobs, and they had to figure out a way to make ends meet because it's expensive. I mean, tuition is insanely expensive now, living expenses, and with football, I mean, it's all or nothing. So you get all the aid in the world, you get everything paid for, and it's fantastic. And now in modern times, if say you're some super walk-on, like Lorenzo Sales Jr. is technically a walk-on right now. He got his school paid for by one of the collectives. So if they really want you, they can figure out a way to get you and kind of expand that roster. That's something that's like kind of one of the little dirty secrets right now that they can. The good schools can add scholarships essentially over the 85 cap, and basically give you money to pay for your tuition. So I don't know. It's hard for me to tell someone to turn down a scholarship, and because I mean you might go to Ohio State and not play, and you might not like it, and then you're incurring debt. But if you just want to be a Buckeye, then God bless you. Because the one good thing about walking on at Ohio State is it does guarantee your admission to Ohio State. It's kind of like there was that USC scandal where they had all the celebrities having their kids on the crew team, the rowboat team, and they were sneaking kind of into USC that way by via that admission scandal. Like if you walk onto Ohio State and your kid wants to go to Ohio State, then that's the way in the door, because Ohio State is crazy hard to get into right now. It's like you have to have like a 31, like the average ACT is like a 31 now, which is insane. And then you have to have all the requirements. And plus, Ohio State, for whatever reason, and this is something that Jim Tressel lamented to me, they have this big global push where they want to bring in all these kids from China and India and all over the world. And then they don't take as many kids that are from Ohio that dream of being Buckeyes. So again, I'm not against globalizing and bringing in people from all over the place, but the problem is a lot of these kids you bring into Ohio State, you educate them, and a lot of them go home. They go back to China, they go back to India to live with their families, and so there's like this drain of education where kids that have dreamed of being Buckeyes, they don't get in because we had this crazy global push. Where it's like I'd rather educate people in the state of Ohio and keep the education here. And keep, the people that want to work these great jobs for these great companies that are coming here. Now, again, that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. You guys can say that. But there's nothing more heartbreaking to me than when kids dream of being Buckeyes and they don't get admitted. And then they have to go elsewhere. Because, again, I got to be a Buckeye. I dreamed of being a Buckeye. I was very fortunate to be a Buckeye. So, again, if your kid is just dying to be a Buckeye, any kid that goes to Ohio State, it's never a bad decision to go to Ohio State. So, that's my spiel. Nevada, your thoughts. You've been through this with some of your spawn in the scholarship type deal. Is it better to go to a smaller school and get a full ride, or to walk on for free at Ohio State?
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it with the way that the portal works now, and this was not the case in the olden days, with ease of transfer and ease of movement, and how it's such an acceptable way, for teams. It's part of an inherent strategy for a lot of teams. You're absolutely better off going to a smaller school on scholarship. One, as you said, you have a much better opportunity to get on the field and play, because ultimately that's going to be your path to either success at a bigger school like Ohio State, or ultimately at another level is going to be play. So you have to play to be able to do it. It's the old, like, you can't make the club in the tub. You can't make the school if you're not on the tool, or whatever the heck. I don't even know what the limerick would be on that, but you got to go to the other school, take the scholarship, ball out, and then the bigger schools are mining those schools actively, and then you can live the dream. But that's the way I would do it, 100%.
Yeah, like there was his name is escaping me. I'm gonna find it. But there was a kid from Miami of Ohio who transferred to Oklahoma. A kid from Massillon. His last name was like Woolyard, he was a really good player. He had like 8.5 sacks playing for the Miami Redhawks last year. And he just transferred to Oklahoma. Now, if that kid would have walked on at Ohio State, and again, I'll look his name up. God, it was like Woolyard, we actually did a show on him. But he's a kid that if he goes to Ohio State and walks on, he probably hasn't played a snap yet. Nobody even knows he exists. And then like, I mean, he's probably on year 4 and he's just a rotational guy, might get 10 snaps a game. Whereas he went to Miami of Ohio, dominated, was like an all MAC type player, hit the transfer portal. He was the guy that I was also hoping Ohio State would get as a third defensive end because he's better than Kenyatta Jackson's been. And he ends up going to Oklahoma. And he's going to start at Oklahoma this year as a defensive end. And coming out of Massillon, like his offers were, Akron and Kent State and Miami of Ohio and Toledo and those kinds of schools. But he went there and he balled out. And guess what? Oklahoma called him. And Ohio State wanted him too. But he ends up going to Oklahoma and he's going to be their starting defensive end this year. So, again, I think in the portal era, going somewhere that wants you, where you have a realistic shot of playing early, is the best move in the world. And that's just my opinion. But I'm sure that you guys kind of see my vision there. Jerry McStevens, thanks for the deuce. What's the chance that we get DeCorian, Moore, and David Sanders? I think that we have a puncher's chance at both. Like I'm not trying to blow too much smoke. I mean, DeCorian Moore is the best receiver in the country. Obviously, he's part of that Duncanville team that just set the 4x200 record for high school. I mean, these track stars right now are just blistering fast. I mean, this is going to be the team in the Olympics that we're sending to Paris is like one of the fastest teams in the history of the world. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of records falling in the Olympics potentially. And this kid is as fast as there is in the high school. He was the anchor leg too. So that's where you put your fastest dude. So I think him and David Sanders are the two crown jewels of the class. Obviously, they're going to be expensive and it's going to be crazy. But with Brian Hartline, you can't put anyone past them. Again, I think any receiver that has an offer from Ohio State is absolutely insane if they don't take it. Just my opinion. So Nevada, DeCorian Moore, David Sanders, your thoughts?
I mean, like you said, we have a chip in a chair. With Sanders, it's probably a higher percentage because, like you said, I really think it's down to 2. With DeCorian, there's probably 3 or 4 schools that are in there, but we're probably the chalky. So I'd say the chances that we get one of the 2 is better than 50%. The chance we get both of them is probably less than 50%. But we have a shot for sure.
Yeah, totally agree. Pooh Bear's bringing it tonight, man. This is a good one. Pooh Bear 12, thanks for being ultra bear. Thanks for the 5. Welcome back, Funky Buck. That's good. He's perpetuating the notion that your AI voice box turns you into Funky Buck and you say Sony Styles instead of Sunny Styles. So I was like, those are the 2 things that you do to throw everybody off. Who is your Mount Rushmore of OSU player parents? I feel like John Simon's dad needs to be there, but they'd run out of rock. That's actually hilarious because John Simon's dad has the biggest neck in the history of mankind. I mean, he's got like a 50-inch neck.
Do we have that picture to show?
You're going to make me turn off the Panthers game, and I'm going to put on Johnny Simon's dad's neck. But yeah, Johnny Simon's dad is a scary dude. But yeah, I honestly think he'd have to be on there because he actually gave me a hat when I was working with Johnny. That he has a Simon's Gym hat. He's got his own powerlifting club. You never would have guessed that. Let me see if I can find it. I mean, his dad was a scary big dude. I'll find it. Any other nominees, Nevada?
Well, what's the criteria? Is the criteria like scariness? Is it just great parents? Or there's been so many great parents that have come through Ohio State, but I want to understand the criteria.
I don't know. I don't know the criteria.
If we're going by
you can make up the criteria. Who are the best?
First of all, if we're going by great parents, the Brewsters are on the Mount Rushmore of great parents for sure. That entire family is just. I don't think people realize what a gem those guys were, but the Brewsters, Billy, Mom, Dad, obviously Mike, great family. Probably my favorite family ever at Ohio State. So kind and amazing folks for sure.
Let me see if I can get your boy on here. There he is. Size 50 neck. That is a guy. If you're in Youngstown, man, and you place a bet, and you don't pay that number, and you don't pay the 10% juice on top of your bet that you lost, like that's the kind of guy that's gonna come see you with his 55-inch neck.
Well, it's funny when
Yeah.
people would be like, "Oh, Johnny Simon's so tough," and it's like, "Well, no kidding, huh?"
Look at
It's
his
like,
dad. Oh my God. Dad used to throw his son into the like molten lava in the blast furnace, you
oh
know.
gosh,
Johnny came out of there like he was Superman. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I go Don Muhort for sure. Don Muhort is a solid dude, great dude. Raised Jack the right way. God, who else?
well,
I
Fragel
put
Rock.
Mark
I put in
Fragel for
Fragel
sure.
Rock.
Yeah, I put Mark Fragel
Mark
on
Fragel
there.
for
He was
for
great.
sure.
Um, yeah, God, I'm trying to think of who else would be really good ones. Can I put
I
Curtis
mean, we like
Ewers on there? Does Curtis Ewers count? My boy.
Curtis Ewers counts. Monica Johnson counts for sure. We love Curtis, but Curtis is the
Mm-hmm.
best.
He's a good dude. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's my mark. There's my Mount Rushmore.
Bear
Of course.
Shugarts. Bear Shugarts was a great guy too. Brett, he was a great guy
Oh
too.
my God, Brett Sugarts. What a name. Blast from the past. Jeff Rittenhouse, thank you for the 5. Thanks for honoring first responders. Appreciate you, my man. As a father of a frontline paramedic, including Delaware County, be sure to pull over and get out of the way. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I assume this is when you're dealing with a wreck or something on the road. Yeah, get all the way off the shoulder. Yeah, that's really important. Again, there's been some bad stories about that people don't pay attention, but yeah, just make sure you let these people do their jobs because it's a tough job, especially when it's dark out. Yeah, I appreciate that, Jeff. Again, I always love those little tips because sometimes I think it enlightens people on what these people go through, and you want to make sure that you take care of them as best you can. So I appreciate that. Thank your father for us again, as always. That is huge for us. Jared A. Brandon, thank you for the 50. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being an ultra member as well. It's very generous of you. Here, this one's for Nevada. If German chocolate cake wasn't available, would you rather have yellow cake with chocolate frosting or carrot cake? I think that's easy. Like carrot cake by far. And Nevada OH.
Now first of all, this is a man who's obviously paying attention to this podcast right there because
Yeah.
those are three quality. I think it depends on the quality of the carrot cake because carrot cake, there's some great variability in terms of carrot cake. Like you get the one that is like not moist on the inside and it's kind of hard and like you got the cream cheese on there and like the nuts and everything like that and it doesn't really taste really good. But if it's like kind of fresh and maybe even warm or something like that, that's good. But yellow cake with chocolate frosting, and maybe even you want to put little nuts on the top of that to get a little crunchable aspect with the sweet. Those are good. But I just love the fact that we have listeners that are paying attention to that much to realize that those are the 3 greatest cakes of all time. And I just want my welcome cake when we go on this official visit to Ohio State. I want my welcome cake, and I want it there. And if that happens, I will promise I will deliver my daughter to the hockey team, but I need that welcome cake there when we get there.
Is she going to visit? Or do they know she exists yet or no?
I think she's going to visit. Yeah, so we'll see.
No way. Breaking news on the scoop.
Big news. Yeah, big news.
Wow. I hope that they have soda for the Chipotle this time. That'd be fantastic.
I'd settle for water.
Dry, salty sodium-filled chicken. No water. Oh my gosh. It's like I'm in the pen. ZCM, thank you for the ultra. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the 5. Thank you for being on here every night. Appreciate you, my dude. Scum fans are bragging about landing the #1 defensive tackle. I didn't waste time looking up his name. Is Sharon Moore putting all of his eggs into one basket? I am not sure who that is. I wasn't really paying attention to Michigan's recruiting today. Nevada, I'm sure if I don't know, there's no shot you're going to know.
Well, I how about this? I'll guarantee it's some kid from Michigan. That's what I'll say. My answer is some kid from Michigan. And the idea that the #1 defensive tackle in the country came from Michigan, color me skeptical hippo on this one right now. But that's my guess. But maybe I'm wrong. Wrong. But I think I'm right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm going to look at the 25s. I assume he's a 25. Let me look at the class, the updated class. Maybe Nathaniel Marshall, who is 6'4". He's from Illinois. He's rated. I mean, unless he just. Well, 422. When would he have committed? I'm not sure when he committed. I mean, unless it's a kid who's at 26, I mean, he's the only guy on there. Avery Gotch committed on 5-3. Nathaniel Marshall committed on 422. I'm not sure who it is, CZM. Do you have a name for me? Unless they got a 26 commit, which could be different, but it doesn't list any 26 commits. So I don't know. I don't know who it is. I mean, it's not this kid that is listed as a commit. He's a 4-star, and he's the 11th rated D tackle in the country. So I'm guessing it's not him. And I'm not seeing anything on their sites that say that they just got like some superstar defensive tackle. So again, I could be wrong. I apologize if I'm missing it, but I don't see it. Yeah. I mean, they might get him. Maybe he got like a equal sign or a crystal ball or whatever, but yeah, I'm not worried about him.
Crystal monkey.
He got a crystal monkey. That's gonna be the new thing.
That's what we should do. We need to get that, like the crystal monkey on our site. We give the crystal monkey.
Yeah, the monkey just comes flying out of the trees and does it. That'd be perfect. Nate Marshall. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Nate Marshall right now, and he's the 4th. He's the 11th rated defensive lineman in the country per 247.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, there might be someone else that has him at number 1, but he's not on the same level as Elijah Griffin and Justice. I mean, there's guys I recognize that are just much better players, even guys that we're evaluating. So I don't know. Like I'm not buying it. But there's also room to grow. Devin says he's number 1 on Rivals. Rivals doesn't employ like anybody anymore, so I use their ratings sometimes just because like their graphics look a little bit cleaner. But Rivals is like a death's door compared to 247 and On3. Yeah, I think 247 and On3 are by far the premier recruiting sites now. So, for people that care about that, I don't really care about it anymore as much as I used to. I love it. I like breaking down film and watching it for myself. But, again, with the Edit Monkey and NIL, man, like those recruiting guys are like dinosaurs. So, yeah. All right, Nevada, we can wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts as we head off into Z Night?
Well, I get a chance to celebrate the Cavaliers' great Game 7 win yesterday. That was like unbelievable. Go Cavs, go. Hopefully they keep it going in the next round. And Ohio State's getting ready to go on a little recruiting heater here. So stay tuned. I think some good things are going to start popping for the Buckeyes here in the foreseeable future, and we'll be here to report it. And if you could leave us a like on your way out, we appreciate it. And if you're listening to this on any of the other formats, if you're on Twitter Live or you're on Facebook Live or anything, come over to YouTube. You can super chat that way. Join us at BuckeyeScoop.com. We appreciate all of you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Yep. We appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys again, as always, for kicking it with us. We appreciate you guys joining us each and every night. What a fantastic show this has become. The community is amazing. So thank you for all of you guys that are our regulars on here each and every night. Appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy this content, please click that like button. That is huge for us growing this channel. Also, subscribe to the channel if you've not yet, and send it around to your friends, all your Ohio State friends and buddies that enjoy the content. Send it to them. And also, if you like our live shows, click that little alert bell. You'll alert every time we go. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing run right now with us, because the show has been incredible. And look forward to doing it every single night and kicking it with you guys. So thank you guys for building such an amazing community. With that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. I can't wait to see you guys like around 7 o'clock. Go Bucks.